My guest is Cameron Vernon, class of 2012 from Maggie Walker Governor's School. How are you doing this morning, Cameron?
Wonderful. Good morning.
Good morning. So, quickly, as much as this is a quick thing to do, catch us up from everything that's happened to you since you graduated in 2012.
Okay, so I graduated in 2012 and started at the College of Charleston in South Carolina, intending to pursue a history degree. And as the Lord would have it, I actually became a Christian around that time. And so became a born again Christian to be more specific. So my life took a really big change. It actually took such a big change that they thought I had a brain tumor. And they
Oh my
put me in an
gosh.
MRI because they were like, "This is so crazy, she's talking about all this Jesus stuff. She's just lost her mind." Um, so I, became a Christian and eventually decided to move back home and ended up through crazy course of events. I ended up getting my bachelor's degree in early childhood education in actually a year and a half. So I kind of fast tracked things to get it finished with. Um, and after that, I was working full time as a nanny, homeschooling three little children, staying busy with different projects, and started going to a church that I still go to now. Met my husband, and we got married 4 years ago. And today we are foster parents to all kids of all ages, so 0 through 18.
Oh my
So
gosh.
that's the quick summary.
Very good. And it sounds like you have chickens as well, yes?
I had three chickens, and we have a very pesky hawk in the yard, even though we're in the city.
Mm.
And he's terrorizing my chickens and killed one, actually. So
Oh,
now I only have two chickens.
I'm so sorry. Uh, so yeah, that's a lot of pretty dramatic change in your life in just a short amount of time.
It
Were
was.
were you not raised Christian?
My parents are nominally Christian,
Mm-hmm.
but I was headed in a very kind of career direction as Maggie Walker sends you. It's very ambitious and driven and competitive.
Mm-hmm.
So I was definitely going towards becoming, going in a direction of a career. And so it was a very dramatic turn for me to say, all right, I'm a Christian and I believe in Jesus Christ and that I want to be a homemaker and not pursue a big career.
Mm-hmm.
It was really hard for everybody
Mm-hmm.
just to see that big change and also see as parents and family, they have a lot of their hopes and dreams in their children. And so for them, it was kind of a crushing of those hopes and dreams. But now they're very supportive and are wonderful grandparents, so to speak, to our
Mm-hmm.
foster kids. So it worked out.
Very good. Do you think that those two things are fundamentally incompatible, like being like a full-time born-again Christian and foster mom versus having a career? Or are you having a
Ooh,
career later in life? Or like, tell me about how you wrestle with those two things.
wow, you really went deep with the hard question there. Um, Well, I can only speak to what I believe. So,
Mm-hmm.
as a Christian, there are people that say that are Christians that have a lot of different beliefs. So, I'm a Reformed Presbyterian, which falls along the lines of Calvinist.
Mm-hmm.
I remember learning with Mr. Wilkes in high school about he was reading like Jonathan Edwards and all these Puritans
Mm-hmm.
uh, sermons, and I just thought this is insane. This is these people are gonna like you get this image that they're gonna stone women for just crazy things. Uh, so I really did growing up find being a conservative Christian and having a career as they're not compatible.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and so I had to wrestle with that when I was becoming a Christian. My family was just like, well, if you're a Christian, just become a pastor. That's the career goal for a Christian.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so I can't speak to others, but for me, personally, I do believe that I want to be at home and homeschooling my children, Lord willing, one day. Um, I know it's very unpopular, but I don't find them to be total opposites. But everybody who is a Christian and maybe they're going to have to wrestle with it,
Mm-hmm.
and I think everybody is going to come to a slightly different conclusion based on their beliefs.
Mm-hmm. Well, just to give you some affirmation, I think being a mom is a career totally worthy of praise among any other career. especially if you're going to do homeschooling. I think you're in really good company right now. Everyone's doing homeschooling.
That's true. Yes.
You guys kind of having a moment. I'll just share also that in my class of '97, when I graduated, we had at least one of our classmates who came from a homeschool prior to coming to governor's school, and he was
Okay.
one of the most like well-adjusted, smart kids that I knew at the time. So I don't have any like judgment on homeschooling. I think there's good, like everything. There's good and bad ways to do a thing, and
Yes.
homeschooling is just another way.
Well, just with homeschooling and with Christianity, a few bad apples can ruin the pot. And so all the homeschooling families I know are very, very happy and, very academically challenged, and they get to pursue so many of their interests in unique ways. So,
For sure. So you mentioned a big spread in ages between your kids. How did you tell me the story about like how you found your kids and just what made them the right kids to adopt and how do you know like how many what you're capable of
you
like
don't.
you want to
You don't
foster
know what you're.
everybody, I'm sure, right? Yeah. So like how do you balance all that tension of like I want to help everybody with these are my three
Yes.
kids, like how did tell me that story.
Oh, it's so hard. So, about a year or two into our marriage, um, my husband was laying in bed next to me, and he comes up with all the crazy ideas. And he said, "What about being foster parents?" And I thought, "What? No, why? No," all in the same breath, because I'd never even like heard about it, thought about it. Um, so, long story short, about 9 months later, we became foster parents.
Oh my gosh.
Um, and yes, so we are with an agency. So we live in Richmond City. So we get kids from all over the area because we're with an agency. We get treatment kids, so they have higher level of needs than
Mhm.
maybe if they're just coming straight from the county, straight from DSS. So we became licensed, and we wanted to start out with little kids because I had my degree in that. I was going to be at
Mhm.
home, and we wanted to be able to serve them best because there's a lot of appointments and visits and things that it's really helpful to have somebody that's able to be full time at home. So we waited a couple weeks where we getting calls. They call you about potential kids, and you say yes or no. Um, and one day about 4:30 in the afternoon, they called and they said, "I've got a 2, 5, and 7-year old,"
Mm.
and that's all the information they have. That's pretty much how it happens. They usually have no information. Oftentimes, they don't even have names or accurate ages.
Mm.
And so we looked at each other and we said, "Okay." Um, and about 2 hours later, we had three little kids pulled in our front yard, and they stayed with us for a few months before they got adopted by their grandparents.
Mm.
Um, and we knew from the beginning that they were going to be going with their grandparents. Um, so it's definitely challenging. It is unlike anything you'll ever experience. It took us 6 weeks to find out the youngest actual name and birthday.
Mm.
Um,
Wow.
just crazy. The foster care system is crazy. So I would encourage anybody, if you have a little thought in the back of your head, you're considering maybe I should do something about that. I would encourage you to look into it. It doesn't have to be as crazy as three little kids. It can be just one kid. So to your question, how do we serve them without, getting overwhelmed by the
Hmm.
system? You just realize that you cannot fix. I'm sorry, you could probably hear my dog barking
It's
in the
okay,
background.
don't worry about it.
um, you cannot fix their entire background or their entire life. So, we recently just had a 15, almost 16-year-old, and you have to really meet them where they are and
Mm.
realize that I can't fix 15 years, and actually, in his case, 4 years of intergenerational poverty and homelessness,
Mm.
prison, um, lack of education. We cannot fix that. We can only provide a loving home, and that's all we can do.
Good. Yeah, you're doing good work there for sure. Um, when you think back to your governor's school education, do you think what pieces of that like helped you prepare to have this like great task of providing a loving home for people and to knowing that balance and all that?
Um, just to be inquisitive and really to um, being around so many people with so many different beliefs was
Mm.
wonderful. I was still a political conservative. Sorry about my dog. Uh, I was still a political conservative at Maggie Walker, which political conservatism in those days looks different than it does today. I'll make sure we get that in there, that not everybody who's a conservative supports Trump. But anyway, being there during and having just so many people of different religious beliefs and political beliefs, and everybody's working through what they believe and who they want to be, and is being challenged by the teachers. I have many fond memories of Mr. Wilkes really challenging me to think about things differently. And I think that really did prepare me well for, as a foster parent, we have to be very informed. We have to, and just personally want to stay very educated and, read books about, it's like kind of becoming almost like a psychologist, or, a social worker in that way. And I think that Maggie Walker prepared us really well to say whatever challenge you have, or whatever thing you're doing in your life, you need to become an expert at it, and become really self-motivated to just become the best at whatever you're trying to do, whether it's being a lawyer or a senator or a foster parent.
Yeah, a theme that's kind of coming up in some of these interviews that I'm doing is just how much they push us at governor's school. Do you feel like the balance was right? And I think it's impossible to like be perfect at this, but like there's this need to try to push someone, especially someone young, to see what they're capable of, with this hard limit of breaking them. And do you feel like the governor's school kind of got that right mostly, or did they skew too far? And do you feel broken?
I did a little bit. I just remember, I think that they push that there's one idea of success. And I remember feeling that at the time, thinking, well, I have these other interests, maybe in hands-on skills, or just things that didn't fit with Governor School's idea of success. And I felt kind of like, what's wrong with me? Like, and I felt pressure from other students, and also from, teachers. It's like, I did well, but at the same time, if you're not the hyper competitiveness of, everybody there's a big fish. So it does get to you, and it did get to me. And that was probably my biggest struggle about, with the governor's school. It does get under my skin a little bit, but I also know that they've made me who I am. So I can't complain too much. But yes, I do think that, pushing of the academics and sort of one route of your career, or one route of success. But there really are many routes to success and happiness in life, not just the one that governor's school, or you may perceive that the governor's school pushes.
Gotcha. Very good. Is there any other stuff that you want to share that I haven't asked you about?
No, I'm so excited to hear from everyone else's interviews. This is going to be fascinating. Thank you so much. And it'll just be a great way to get to know everybody and see what they've done, and just hear about everybody else's ideas of, or happiness and success in life. I'm really excited. So thank you so much for doing this project. And if anybody's in the Richmond area or nationwide and wants to talk about being a foster parent, I would be more than happy to share the highs and lows.
It's my pleasure having you on the interview program today. And thank you so much for joining me.
All right. Thank you, Ian. Have a good day.